Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So this is probably going to be a slightly longer video. A video that was largely inspired by two things. Number one, the previous video that I made about the state of the battlegrounds, joining in a handful of other content creators who expressed their, worries and dislike about the situation in battlegrounds, as well as this particular forum post. We're discussing the battlegrounds and the said videos from Andrew, from Crystal Opening Whale, and from Trappy. This post definitely kind of caught my glance as well. The problem is full scope, as in almost all the game modes. Just look how long event quest has taken to get some attention. This is nothing new. The way I feel is the reward tweak should be quarterly, as in every 3 months, and that's across the board, all game modes, excluding maybe arena. But honestly, after a while, people just stop caring. The fact is that this subject has to be posted on the company's forum shows how out of touch Kabam is. The game advancing and expanding as it is, this needs more attention. It isn't just the battlegrounds that is the problem. And I completely agree. Therefore, we're going to be making a report card. And this is going to be effectively a state of the game video, where we're going to be going over from area to area in the game and effectively giving it a grade from A to F. And I'm not going to be trying to be purposely negative. There will be some good grades coming where I think the game is in a relatively good place overall. But we're going to start with Arena. Let's start with the idea that arenas do not award 7 stars anymore. 6 stars are about on the brink of extinction from competitive play. You can still do solo content with 6 stars just about everywhere, especially if you can get them ascended. But that's what it. Like, if you currently tune in at the highest levels of battlegrounds, top levels of battlegrounds, 6 stars don't work. Not really, anyways. Every meta there are like 2, 3, 4, 6 stars that you can kind of typically see breaking in, and it's typically because they do not exist as 7 stars. It's just that they are that good or that compatible with the specific nodes. Good example here would be, Kate Bishop on Power Shield, for instance, and Kate Bishop in general, or, Hulkling on a few specific occasions. But in general, for like C5 level play, they're almost gone. Give it a bit, and they're going to be completely gone. So, anybody remembers last time arenas got updated? The fact that we do have these Sunday arenas that were tier 1 alpha catalysts when we have tier 4 in game. We don't even have an arena for tier 2 alpha catalysts, which are effectively meaningless and are expiring almost on a daily basis. We do not have arena for tier 3 alpha catalysts, let alone for tier 4 alpha catalyst basic fragments, which are, at this point for the most competitive players, fairly steadily available. So Sunday arenas have never been updated. And the rest of the arenas, it's been years, man. So, in the arena department, realistically, I should give them an F, but I am a generous spirit and I'm going to give them an E. The reason for E is also fairly simple. Because there is a post made about arenas, and if there is one thing that arenas do well, or more specifically kind of better than they used to, it is award you units. Because arenas haven't been updated for such a long time, and because the scoring in arenas haven't been updated, you actually do get more units per hour invested up until you reach milestones. As in, getting to 12 million is significantly easier now than when initially these milestones were introduced. As in, getting the 4 million in other arena is, still much quicker than you could do it originally. So therefore, grinding out the milestones for units is noticeably easier as the game has progressed. It's not because Kabam has done anything special, it's just because the game has progressed in such a manner. But overall, it should be an F, but let's be generous, give them an E. Event quest, that's an F. There's not much talk. You know, that's just a flat out F. The fact that Valiant is a progression level and new one's coming soon. Realistically, Valiant's not new anymore. Valiant's very easily achievable by playing, and the highest difficulty level in Event Quest is Thronebreaker. So that's 2 generations old. And not a single one of the rewards in the Event Quest is actually meaningful. Like, not one. There's no 7-star chance. There's not even tier 6 last catalyst, let alone tier 6 basics or tier 3 alphas. Just Event Quest is just a massive F. And even if you factor in Paragon Gauntlet, which again, only reason why I do is because of the Ascension Dust and the XP that's being associated with it now through solo objective, you know, it doesn't help. Even Paragauntlet's outdated. And the fact that I have to do the Event Quest to access Paragauntlet is just brutal. This is one of those things that make me actively dislike Kabam, because they clearly do not give a fuck about players. There's no reason why a Valiant player should be forced to play through Event Quest in order to acquire the right to do the Paragauntlet. Absolutely not. Because everything about Event Quest at this point is meaningless to even a mid-level Valiant or a newer progression player. So that's an F. Side events, I think, are in a bit better place. Side events, for most part, are the piece of content that does get regular updates, because the rewards do change, you know, every month. They're not exactly the same. And typically, like, you can notice it with newer accounts. Basically, as soon as you are able to do the side event, you should, because it helps you progress a ton. The reason why I'm not going to give it an A is, well, number one, it feels stale. And number two, that Trader's Outpost, again, still has never been updated. Like, again, the best thing you can get from Trader's Outpost is, you know, 1007 star shards and a couple tier 6 basic tier 3 alphas, which is, you know, fine, but it's just already outdated. So I guess I'm gonna give it a B, because for the most part I do think that for new and progressing players, side event is, you know, the best place ever, as long as you are able to do it as early as you can. So side events, I'm gonna be somewhat generous, B. Now let's move on to the incursions. And here we obviously have a different set of incursions, because we do have regular incursions and we do have deathless saga incursions. And with the regular incursions, we're also going to be discussing the incursion store, which hasn't been updated just about ever. And the initial pool of champions in the incursion crystal also has never been updated. On a regular month, you know, you can earn like 25% tier 6 CC for doing 25 zones, and nothing else of meaningful value really there. So regular incursions, I think, is E. Let's say E. I'd say E. Saga incursions every 3 months, I think is better. I think it's already getting outdated, but it's still one of the pieces of content that I do kind of wait for. I do think is in quite a good place. It's always quite a good amount of fun, because you can make some OP combinations. It does award you some tier 4 alpha and titan shards, which are some of the more sought out resources. So for now, I'm going to give it a B. I'm not going to give it an A, just again because the rewards have never been updated since the Deathless Incursion started. And the tier 4 alpha, you know, half a year ago or 9 months ago was way more meaningful than it is right now. But it doesn't take too long. It comes once in 3 months. You do it in an hour. You have fun. You know, it's decent game mode. Valorant at this point is an E. It's not the most outdated place in the game, like Event Quest, for instance. But it's in a very poor state. Last Battlegrounds meaningful update was 2023 at some point. This, you know, has been discussed quite a bit at length But yeah, Battlegrounds is just in a fairly sorry shape right now. The rank rewards, you know, finishing one of the 100 best players in the world, 2.5k Titan shards, and not even a 7-star crystal. It's just abysmally bad. Store is outdated too. You know, the only meaningful, like really meaningful thing there is the tier 4 alpha fragments, which, you know, not like it's a massive amount weekly, and you do get some tier 6 CC, which is the only other thing I really buy from it. Yeah, that's pretty much just the only two things I get from it, and the rewards themselves, again, I had a season where my alliance finished, I think, top 5 in the world alliance score wise, and that we can take a look at as well. I finished in like top 100 or 200 individual score. Finished C5, and I think I got 1 7-star crystal total, and it wasn't like really worth recording an opening for it, because even in the solo event, rank rewards like finishing top 10 is like what, 1 tier 4 alpha, you know, which is very little these days. And then in a solo event, when you finish in Battlegrounds, when I'm at 300k points now, you know, finish top, let's say, top 500. That's, you know, quite a grind. You have been quite active, or even higher than that. Top 250 gives you 3,500 Titan shards and like 8,000 or whatever 7-star crystal shards, and, you know, 6-star awakening gem. Pathetic. It's just bad, man. It really is, especially for how significant Battlegrounds' game mode should be. A W, I'm actually gonna give it an A at the moment. And I know that everybody would not agree, but we just got the rewards update, and somehow, for whatever reason, Alliance War is also the previous game mode that got updated, which makes no sense. Like, Alliance War rewards have been updated like 3 times or 4 times in a time that Battlegrounds rewards haven't been updated. And again, I think everybody has issues with Alliance War. I think these are definitely not even the updated rewards, but Alliance War ultimately is the only game mode where you can earn tier 7 basic fragments now after the rewards update. And out of all of the game modes, like all of the meaningful game modes, I think Alliance Wars is in the best place, rewards wise, anyways. I would want to put it as an A-, I suppose, because I'm not too sold on the new nodes, but, you know, we'll leave it an A. I think as far as the game modes go, I think Alliance Wars about as good as Kabam can do. I guess that is the best way to put it. And I know it's niche, and I fully understand that these marks will entirely depend on each individual player. I should have probably made a huge disclaimer at the beginning, but, you know, the way we see the game will be different based on how long you have played, which game modes you want to focus on, so on and so forth. But a W would be, I think, an A. Alliance Quest, though. Alliance Quest rewards at this point, can we see actually the rewards? These are top. Okay, there we go. Rank rewards in Alliance Quest. There's tier 2 alpha. There's no tier 4 alpha even in the first place for Alliance Quest rewards. Alliance Quest is a big fat F at this point. You can't have the biggest. You're gonna be in like top 10 highest prestige alliance, and you're not even gonna earn a tier 6 basic or a tier 3 alpha. It's an F. Alliance Quest itself is dead boring as well as a game mode. You know, as a game mode overall, especially when we have raids in the game, so I think it has served its purpose. I think it would be just as well not non-existent for 3 weeks of the month, and then 1 week we have raids. It's just an F in Alliance Quest itself. And the Glory Store, needless to say, you know, it did get an update not that long ago, but By the way, the one reason why I didn't pick on Loyalty Store is because Kabam has openly stated that the purpose of Loyalty Store effectively is, you know, the potions and the boosts and stuff like that, rather than item acquisition. But the Glory Store is also, you know, very poor. It does have some tier 4 alpha frags, which is nice, which is again just about the only thing I get from it. And everything else there is, you know, I do grab some tier 5 CCs from it when I run out, which is kind of like a filler item at this point. So, but in general, I think AQ is F. Raids, I'm gonna put it at C at this point. Because Kabam does change things up in raids, but number one, raids still get bugged a lot. Like, things just fail in raids. And not that Alliance War didn't have issues or anything else didn't have, but it's more noticeable in raids. The recent changes to effectively allow less item carryover and having less room for error, with yet again no rewards update, which raids rewards I think are great for when they came out for. Now they are okay. I would give it a B if the raids chests wouldn't feel so random and bad. I think such a large amount of raids rewards budget being in the chests and being random is one big thing that brings down raids for me and the state of raids. The fact that Kabam completely did not listen about any of the player suggestions surrounding the raid chests, left them completely random, and left them at such a wide value disparity where you can get 20,000 Titan shards or you can get half a tier 6 CC, which is not worth a lot these days. And the fact that raid rank rewards, again, haven't been updated. It doesn't include tier 7 basic, which Alliance War does. Yeah, that's going to be a C for me. I like raids, but it doesn't make up for rest of the AQ. And now when the raid week used to come, I was like super happy and excited. Now, I mean, I'll get it done. I'm kind of happy that I don't have to log in every day for like 4 days in a row. But it's not exciting anymore, I would say. Or doesn't feel too special that I'm going to get some great amount of rewards, because you don't. Now, special content is the one place where I'm going to give them an A. I do think overall Kabam has stepped up their game there. And I understand that not everybody's going to like everything, but I think Epoch overall is you know, quite good. Ares boss, I think they kind of introduced very poorly. I eventually grew to enjoy that fight, but the existence of Epoch and the rewards in Epoch are great. I think the last set of Karina challenges, I think those were a major success. Aside from the dimensional being one, because fuck that Spider-Man 2099. But those Karina challenges were quite cool. You know, Deathless Thanos has been quite an awesome and amazing champion. And, you know, in general, I do feel like they have overall stepped up their game with special content that we get them. A might be a bit too generous, but for most part, that is kind of the most exciting thing that Kabam does now. Right? Yeah, so I'm gonna drop an A there. Alliance events, and here I specifically mean Alliance events. This is just flat out F, man. Peak milestone, 1,500, no, 1,000 6-star shards. If you're in the most spendingiest, openingiest, activiest alliance, you get 1 6-star crystal. Keeping in mind that 6-star shards are absolutely worthless, just about. Summoner engagement, top rank rewards, 50% tier 5, tier 3 alpha frags a bit. Yeah, that's just a flat out F. These are shit. You know, borderline meaningless. They're just awful. They're completely outdated. I don't think Kabam has, you know, done anything with them for years. Solo event, I'm gonna give them an A. I think that's a fairly straightforward one. We have the solo event, basically the daily super event that we are looking at, and it's good. Like, there's just nothing else. It's condensing all of them into one was the best thing that Kabam did, just about. I don't think it's like broken or busted when it initially arrived, but as for right now, I think it's fine. I think it's much better than we used to have, and compared to, you know, Alliance weekly events. Like, you could argue that the single daily solo event has more resources and more value, and it does, than, you know, the Alliance weekly event. Champions, and that is meant to be the champion design and the new champions added to the game, and overall, you know, the feel of the new champions. I think for most of the year last year, I would have given them like a D here, where I just didn't get excited about champions at all. Where Kabam released a whole bunch of mediocre champions in a row, and you know, I just had zero interest in any of the new champions. Whilst I don't think that they have kind of regained completely from that, objectively speaking, they are doing a better job in last months, in my opinion. In between, you know, having Okoye, previously that Arnim Zola being like a relevant defender, in between Gentle being all right, Thanos being a massive success, some of the buffs, but you know, I suppose that will be buff balance program. Actually, champion buffs, that should be a new category as well. One above champion. But yeah, new champions. So I'm gonna write as new champions. I'm gonna give them a B, basically. As far as the champion design goes, it should be in between B and C. I think it's C. I think they are doing better than they used to, because, you know, it would have been like E 7-8 months ago. I think in between, you know, having released, you know, the Screams and some of the later champions, I think they're doing a better job. At the same time, I don't think we have had like a single busted attacker for a really long time. Maybe aside from Thanos, who is dual purpose champion. I think because of Deathless Thanos and his widespread availability, I'll change it to B. It's somewhere in between B and C. You know, the fact that Joaquin Torres gets released right now is kind of baffling to me. Few other champions that came to the game, it's you can't give them an A for sure. Like it doesn't feel like every new champion is like worth your attention, but enough of them are, and there are quite a few, which is kind of surprising, to be honest, because, you know, 10 years in, you'd think that they have better grasp on the balance. I suppose it's because, you know, they change stuff like socks over there, but whatever. Champion buffs, this is a definite, I'm gonna mark it as C and A. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna do. Champion buffs have been great. Even the Glorious Guardians, like, some of them took a while to grow on you, but they are dangerous and they are significant. Like, to the point where I'm really annoyed that I couldn't awaken more of them. Like, Black Panther initially I wasn't too fussed about. He's, you know, aged quite well in the contest. Deadpool X-Force, awesome. Medusa, absolutely love, one of my favorite cosmics now. Even Purgatory, who's not like shining too much right now, I think was a very solid rework. And then obviously we do have the Sinisters and the whatnots. So yeah, when it comes to champion buffs, for most part, I think they're doing very, very well. Better than designing new champions. It's probably because they don't want to give them like 5,000 abilities that do very little. But they definitely do better with the champion buffs recently than the release of new champions. Balance program is an F though. They're fucking useless. Like, they just do nothing. They're off their tits. They're effectively saying that the leader, right, is perfectly balanced, just like Serpent is. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, nobody really cares about the leader at all. I took him to rank 2 just so I wouldn't let my tier 6 basics and tier 3 alphas expire after the 10 unit deal that we had. But yeah, the balance program is just off their tits, honestly. The fact that Serpent went unchanged is insane. The fact that Leader went unchanged after Serpent, or you know, just about the same time, is brutal. So many champions that Kabam should just look at to make, you know, I don't even know. Whatever. Balance program is just a failure, in my opinion. Complete and utter failure. The fact that they're releasing champions like Enchantress that are completely useless offensively, and like they have so many abilities, and you know 99.9% of the players will never learn them. The fact that they have champions like the leader being released, and it's an F for balance program, in my opinion. You could argue for like an E, but they're like very bad at what they do, in my personal opinion. And again, I will encourage you guys to put your own marks. I will leave a pinned comment where you can fill it up yourselves. So champion acquisition, I like a lot of things, and there are a lot of things lacking. I'm going to put currently in C, and I'm going to explain that. I do think Kabam has done a lot of great things when it comes to new champion acquisition. I like the fact that they are doing things, as in like we have these Saga chase champions where if you know play within the rules of Saga, eventually you're gonna get enough tickets or keys or crystals or something to get a guaranteed 7-star champion. I don't like the fact that unless you wail out, there's no way to awaken them, but still it's better than not having the champion. I do like that they're trying out Adolls and Deathless and stuff like that. So that I love. But I do have to bring down a mark for 7-star champions not being able to be acquired in any targeted meaningful fashion. As in like there's no arena for 7-star champions. As in there's no other way to kind of like reliably try and get them. And they even kind of messed up or jiggled up, you know, the featured crystal mechanic by introducing the whole Titan crystal thing, which some people love, some people hate. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, at this point in game, I'd rather have every 7-star shard also be able to target the new champions like I used to be able to do with 6-stars, whereas saving up the 6-star shards to open the featured crystals rather than opening 7-star crystals that are 90% useless to me now and going for the Titan. Obviously there are champions I want from 7-star crystal, it's just very few and far in between, and I would be dedicating just about most of my shards for the new champion acquisition, which I can't anymore. So no arena, so I can't grind for them. I can't do any more to target them aside from the Titan crystal shard. So I think that definitely takes a mark away. And another thing is the early access bundles. I absolutely hate the fact that they doubled the price of them, where they went up to like $100 for like those. So it's basically if you want to have a chance and get the guaranteed 6-star, it's like $100 now rather than $50. And the fact that, you know, they're selling like 15 early access bundles and variations of them for the money junkers. So yeah, I don't like those aspects of new champion acquisition. It just feels like unless you wail out, you're not going to get that champion for a very, very long time now. Versus previously, it was like you can either wail out on crystals, you can try your luck on early access bundle, or you can grind arena, or there's something else. Now, there's very little of that. Story content, I'm going to pass this B. Story content, and it's nothing particularly wrong with story content, I think. It's more so that story content just kind of has lost its role in the game and identity. where I used to look forward a ton for story content. Now I just kind of look forward to the rewards, and I finish it quickly, and most of it barely warrants a guide, or it feels like very generic. It doesn't feel like this big thing that it used to be. I guess you could say that special content has taken the place of story content, and in some aspect I think it's a better structure where story content isn't as much of a challenge at all as it used to be. Like previously, people are thinking, oh, I have like 50 revives for the new Act 6 chapter and that many units, will that be enough? And everybody was super interested in how to do these fights, and the fights themselves were much more diverse and different, and we had paths with different nodes on every fight and stuff like that, and it was completely different type system. Now it's it became the 6 paths, 6 fights, 3 bosses type thing. Then it went down to 3 paths, 6 fights, 3 bosses type thing, and all the fights are the same, and all of it just kind of feels fairly generic. It used to feel previously like it was crafted by somebody putting in a lot of time, effort, work, and love in it. Now it borderline feels AI generated, which again, I'm not saying that's the worst thing for the game overall, but as far as story content comes, you obviously do it for progression, you do it for rewards. It's like, what would be the best thing? I can still remember just about every quest in 6.1 and 6.2 and 6.3 and 6.4, and just about every boss in those story chapters. I can remember most of Act 5 and Act 5 quest nodes in many cases, and Act 5 bosses. For the life of me, I wouldn't remember almost any of Act 7 and 8 bosses and quests. I guess that kind of sums it up. It just feels way more generic, basic. But it's fine. Again, I'm not saying that's the worst thing for the game, because we do have much more of the special type content, which is fine, but it has lost a lot of its glee for me. And here we have A++++++++ on big sales events, obviously. And offer frequency. Not a day goes by when you can't spend a couple $1,000s in this game. You go to the web store, go to the in-game store. Come on, nailed everything. So here we are. That is where I think currently the game is. It's not a pretty state, because most of the meaningful things in the game, in between, well, I mean, I guess it's different what each of us finds meaningful, but arena is very bad. Incursions, regular ones, are very bad. Event quest is abysmally bad. So, awful, 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 awful. Awful. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many A's we have? 1, 2, 3. 3 plus offers. But let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you agree. Again, I will effectively post this list in the pinned comment, and you can use it to give the game your own grades. Let me, and hopefully also Kebab, know what do you guys think of the state of the game currently. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next